Welcome to Black Man Spy, U.S. Iran Warcast, day 43 or day 3 of the ceasefire. Um, I'm speaking quietly today because I'm in Manhattan. You can see I have the super black eyes under my eye. I had to get up at 2 this morning, and I am broadcasting to you from Manhattan, from the Madman Espresso near Penn Station, because I'm in the city to speak at the National Action Network, Reverend Al Sharpton's program on African Americans and national security later on today. And so I had to jump on the early morning train, drive down to New York City. And now I'm in lovely Manhattan where I have these big coffees. So with me is Wajeeh the lion, the gay lion. Uh, we are missing Jacob Kaarsbo today because he is giving a presentation. So it's just Wajeeh and I. We're going to be a little short. Um, Also, Waj, if you could do me a favor, if you watch the bottom, could you check for questions? Because our assistant that I have is playing tennis today and who's up in another country and can't do the thing. So we're going to have a relatively abbreviated program today. I have a lot of work to do. But in fact, other than discussing news, there's not a lot of news with the exception of Lebanon. Oh, Sandra says I look handsome. I have a tie. And I have I have my Irish tweed suit on today. So I'm warm, even though now I find it's going to get to 70 degrees today, right? It's going to be 22 Celsius. And here I am wearing a tweed suit, but it was 34 degrees when I left this morning. So it'll be fun. That being said, Waja, what kind of coffee cup do you have?
But that's U.S. Embassy and Butter and Riyadh.
Well, I am still sporting the Madman Espresso. I am having a flat white right now. Yummy.
I like me some flat white.
You know, I encountered flat whites for the first time. We're way back in the day, back in 2006ish, 2007. I was offered a visiting professorship, not a professorship, a teaching position, because it wasn't a professor slot at Macquarie University in Sydney, Australia, actually in the suburb of North Ryde, for those of you who know Australia. And I lived in Potts Point, which is right next to Garden Island Naval Base, just inside Sydney. And every morning I would go for a run, and I would run down this steep hill down to Garden Island Naval Base, over past I can't remember the name of that house. There's a giant hotel and condominium that was on the water. It's an actual pier. And what's his name? Famous Australian actor now. Not Mel Gibson, but the other guy. I run into him all the time. I can't remember his name. You'll remember his name. The guy who plays Wolverine. So anyway,
I don't know his
yeah,
name.
yeah. Anyway,
I grew up in a cult, so I barely remember it. I learned about
not Russell
Lady
Crowe,
Gaga after I came
not
out.
Russell Crowe. He's got yeah. Hugh, what's his name? Hugh Jackman. Hugh Jackman. I would run into Hugh Jackman right at all the time, right? And I'd be like,
Exactly.
and he knew I was an American. Everyone knew I was an American. I would like, U.S. Navy shirt or something like that. And then I became a little well known because I was on Australian television all the time. And the funny thing about Australian television, Aussie TV is like local small town in Iowa television, right? It's really small. Oh, they said Jacob is here, so we will invite Jacob.
Let's have him over.
All right, I guess he got loose. You should be here any minute now. So it's like a small town, and within a week, every news channel, hey Jacob,
Hey,
I'm telling stories. Within a week, every news
that's
channel
right.
in Australia knew my name personally, right? Like, it's Mac. I'm from Macquarie University. How you doing, mate? How are you? And it was just like, and I said some controversial things while I was there about terrorism because I was there teaching um, terrorism, counterterrorism. So I would go running, up and over to this peak called Mrs. Macquarie's Chair, and then back around, then to the Sydney Opera House and Circular Quay, which is where all the ferries are. And that's my turnaround. I would do a lap around the Sydney Opera House, and I'd come back, and it was a really awesome 5 kilometer run. And let me tell you something about Australia if you haven't been there. Sydney is like California. It's like California with cleaner, sharper water, better sun, and everyone can live on the beach. Everyone. I mean, every inch, the country's like this big. And the funny thing is, there at that time were only 20 million 20 million Australians, where we had 40 million African Americans, right? So one time I was running down the street and I ran into these two African American women, and they were like, "Hey, how you doing?" Because you know who we are, right? And I said, "Hey, you guys," I said, "the three of us right now outnumber most Australians in a 1-to-1 ratio." you know? And they were like, "What?" And when I told them, they were like, "Yeah, there's a lot more of us than there are Aussies." But that's where, at the end of my run, I used to run to this cafe called Metrio. And I would go to that cafe, and there, I, I remember the day that their signboard changed, and they had on there flat white. And I'm like, flat white? F is a flat white. And, it's like, oh, yeah, mates, everybody drinks this, right? Flat white is I think it's a double espresso with a long full of milk. And there was no cappuccino cortado or anything like that. Is that NSA? Where'd you get that from? you got your,
it's the code here. The code. The encrypted cup.
He's got a. That's cool. All right. So anyway, now we got the coffee cups out of the way. We have our 1,000 followers this morning. Jacob, I'm going to need you to jump in if you have any significant events or spectacular penetrations that you need to talk about. But first, let's go to the casualty count. Wajeeh, do you have the casualty count?
Yes, I do.
All right.
Let me.
It's been updated on Al Jazeera, and not least Lebanon is serious.
So what's the casualty count now in Iran? Is still 2,079, correct?
2,079. 76. Injured, 26,500. And Lebanon is the next big number here.
Christ.
1,830. Killed. I think this number is still going up because they're still counting the dead bodies. This is just the dead bodies they were able to count. There's still a lot more buildings they haven't gotten to. Injured, 4,927. Palestine, you got 4 killed. Israel, 26 killed. 7,451 injured. You got U.S. military, which is an important number, 13 killed. I got the number above 360 injured here, but I don't know why they have 200 injured. 3 people killed in Saudi Arabia, 29 people injured. And in Oman, you have 3 people killed, 15 people injured. And UAE, you have 12 people killed, 224 people injured. You have 20 injuries in Qatar. You have 3 kills in Bahrain. You have 7 kills in Kuwait. I have shown footage of the Saudi Crown Prince visiting injured soldiers and civilians in hospitals. That's just part of their propaganda. And then I have the oil, if you want to go to it.
Okay, yes. Give us the price of oil this morning.
Price of oil is still close to $100. The WTI 98.9. It's been going to 99 and then dropping to 97. So it's been up and down. Yeah. It's still early in the day. Everyone is confused about the current situation because JD Vance is going to Islamabad.
Right.
And
so what's Brent Intermediate?
Brent
North Sea crude.
Brent crude is 96.01.
I find that fascinating that West Texas Intermediate is now almost consistently higher than Brent North Sea crude. And that's a sign, I think, of stress on the system in the United States. But I'm not Mr. Global. If you really want to follow that stuff, there's a guy on X called at Mr. Global. This guy is no nonsense. It's like talking to me, only he only talks about oil and oil prices. He knows everything.
Just one remark. What I noticed from the Danish traders, all the financial guys, it's funny how easy it is for Trump to influence them. As soon as he made this declaration on, I forget whether it was Tuesday or Wednesday morning, it was Wednesday morning Danish time at least, there was this optimism and so on, and you saw the market reaction and so on. It's so easy for him to manipulate these people because they don't see through all the crazy stuff. And I suspect, the oil price is a reflection that they believe, these negotiations will start, and then the Strait of Hormuz will be all good, etc., etc. But the fact of the matter is that there are hardly any ships coming through, and the Iranians are going to control it essentially. Also, regardless of what happens in Islamabad.
I think Europeans. Let's be honest, okay? Europeans think have been programmed to give him an immense amount of benefit of doubt, an immense amount, right? He's a white guy, we're white guys. He's American. They want to make money. Why would he lie? Yeah, he's lied 100 times, but he won't this time. And I think it's almost factored into their operating system that
it
they
depends
have
on
to
who
take
you talk
advantage
to.
of it.
Malcolm, it depends on who you talk to. I think, I'm talking about traders, these market people and so on. There you are right. But at the political level, no.
Right. Yeah.
I was on this show last night on Danish TV, and there are still a few people running around like they just they're not seeing what's happening.
Right.
But most people really do, and it's usually market people that just don't get into the detail and then let themselves be influenced by these statements and don't get what's underneath. There's more realism now, fortunately, because I've been the one for more than a year banging everyone's head. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
About Islamabad.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, forgive me for shedding my coat. I'm doing the Thunder from Down Under.
It's quite all right.
Routine here. And it's very warm here today. It's already like 60 degrees. It's like 17 degrees in Europe, Celsius here. So, all right. Go on. Let's talk about the big things. First, before we get into the
Islamabad. Okay.
Before we get into Islamabad, I think we should hold that. You said that there were some continued attacks other than in Lebanon yesterday. Is that right?
That's right.
Are these the attacks coming from the Hashid Shabi? What happened? What do you got?
I believe Iran has attacked the National Guard facility in Kuwait.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
They're going
It was
after
on Al
Americans.
Jazeera this morning.
And what did they hit it with? Drones?
Yes. There was 28 UAVs.
Whoa! Are you shitting me? 28 UAVs? That's got grudge written all over it. Okay, that right there is someone, they saw something they didn't
intercepted.
like.
Sorry, they intercepted 28 UAVs.
Yeah, but they fired more than 28 UAVs at them.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, the Iranians saw something they didn't like. I wonder if they're trying to just use Kuwait, that they're seeing movements of U.S. forces in Kuwait, that they need to send a little message like, no, don't touch those. No, don't move those tanks. All right. What do you think?
Yes, I think that's a very good point.
I fully agree. And, the Iranians will always say, well, we did it because. and there will be maybe some truth to it, but maybe also they're just doing it preemptively and so on, and then they just find a justification. If push comes to shove, they'll say, "But hey, Lebanon, hey, wait, Lebanon." And so they have all the fig leaf they need to send a little bit back the other way every now and then.
Okay. All right. Any other spurious squirts of military activity? That's amazing.
Yeah. No, I think that's it. You would have seen what happened in Baghdad with this attack on U.S. embassy personnel yesterday. I haven't really seen the full description of it, but
Okay, so what happened?
Oh, yeah.
come on in, Wajeeh.
No, I had different news. Go for it.
No, but there have been statements from the State Department and the U.S. Embassy about attacks on U.S. embassy personnel in Baghdad, and they called in the Iraqi ambassador in Washington because the Iraqi authorities didn't really do much about it, is what is alleged by the U.S. administration. But I've not seen that many details on it yet. But it happened yesterday. I'll try and do some digging.
From
Okay,
my
you know what?
end,
I think it may.
go for it.
I was going to say it may be a
Your
combined
picture's
series
gone,
of
by the way.
things. No, it's back. I had a phone call. She'd come in. I just blocked it. So I think that there are a lot of Iraqis that work in that embassy. Their embassy staff has to be a couple of hundred Iraqis. And I think they are also being harassed, as well as the fact that the building takes lots of drones and missiles and things inside it. So I think that it's reaching a critical mass. It might also be like the incident we had at the Republican Palace. People were being told, you go in that building, we're going to shoot you the second you step out. And a lot of people quit, in the first weeks of the war when they were getting these threats for working for the Americans. So that may be a component.
Apparently, it was a drone strike on the diplomatic support center at Bayab, the Baghdad International Airport. Yeah,
you screwing with their mail and you're screwing with their food.
Yeah.
And courier bags. That's where all the courier equipment and things like that is. That's a good strike. That's a good place to hit. Okay, Wajeeh, you've been dying to tell us what's going on the biggest picture, the most important component of the war thus far.
Well, there is already factions in Iran coming out and shooting at checkpoints inside of Iran. I've been finding these sources. They say they're factions. They say they're factions. That's the Iranian word on it.
Okay. So suddenly people are popping up with guns.
That's right.
I see how it is. Somebody recently said that they were sending guns over there.
Yeah. So I think there might be something there.
This may be a belated activity, a special activity where now Trump thinks it's a great idea to parachute guns into that country, and that our or another country's operatives are finally arming the people that they've been working with, right? And to do run-in guns on a checkpoint, okay, you would have to be an opposition group like the Kurdish, right? Opposition groups. And have you seen where these are occurring? Because geography is very important.
I can pull it up on my Substack because I posted it on there.
Yeah, because this would be a new thing. Since January, other than a couple of videos that we saw at the beginning of the war, I've not heard of any run and gun attacks on checkpoints, which is what you would want to do to destabilize a force. But let me tell you something. I have seen the Iranian Lego videos, right? Where they have the guys in black, ninja mask, and all that stuff as foreign paramilitary forces and foreign paid backed forces coming in and essentially arming people and having them do these, hit and run attacks on IRGC checkpoints, which are almost for show because the IRGC is almost 1 million men, right? When, you can't kill everybody. This would take years to destabilize a country of that size.
It was near
And
Qom.
near Qum?
Near Qom, yeah.
No, okay. That's the West, though. That's relatively easy access to Kurdistan, So you could pay some guys. There could be some Kurdish guerrillas up there doing videos, all this. But if more than 1, 2, or 3 of these videos start cropping up, we'll know that this is a foreign built system that is trying to make it appear that there's an internal insurgency brewing and inciting violence against the government. What do you think, Jake?
Go ahead, Wajeeh.
There was another one near Najaf.
Near Najaf's in Iraq.
It's Iraq?
No, not Najaf. Najaf.
Najaf.
N-A-J.
Okay.
Najaf.
Okay.
All right. Well,
Okay.
that's 2. We need to keep an eye on that because this is that is starting to smack of desperation. This might have been influential in January, right? If all of this had cropped up in the middle of the operations again, the freedom marches, then it could have had impact. Right now, it's like, what are y'all doing? Did you just suddenly find your gun pods, or did your CIA or Mossad handler finally get to you and go, hey, what the fuck? We delivered 5,000 guns to you and I don't see any runs going. Right? And they're like, yeah, we'll get around to that. Yeah, there's a lot. Videotaped it for you.
Yeah.
How's that? And then they're like selling the other 4,998 guns to the Iranian army, making bank in Bitcoin probably.
That I would not say you might be wrong about that.
All right. What else, Wajeeh?
Just that, I think a lot of people do not understand I think the general public in particular, you two come from the intelligence agencies. You understand the weight of the Pakistani and Indian intelligence group. They're very close to the United States. They're very close to Russia. They're very close to China. They're even close to North Korea. And they can reach way more than the U.S. Intelligence could reach. And a lot of times, when people think of like highly trained intelligence, they think of the Mossad, they think of the CIA, they think of Russia, but they don't think of India or Pakistan. And we're seeing Pakistan intelligence being played at a very serious level here. And the fact that
Pakistani intelligence has always been a sneaky ass organization. All right. They're sort of like, the way I view those guys is they're like, street spies of major drug cartels. They're shifty. You don't know where their loyalty is going to be today, right? They love their money. They love our money. And they hid fucking bin Laden. Okay.
Yeah,
I just want
did.
to point that out to you.
They did.
They'll play both sides. They'll be like, oh, we love Netanyahu. Oh, we love Khamenei. Oh, we love everyone except Modi. That's true. They don't love they don't love the Indians, but they will play all sides. But they have something to play for now, right?
Yeah,
they're playing for
absolutely.
Pakistan. Team Pakistan is now the lead entity in peace in South Asia. So with that, so supposedly today, J.D. Vance has arrived with Marco Rubio in Islamabad, Pakistan. The big question is, did the Iranians arrive?
JD Vance just took off a few hours ago.
He left.
Uh,
Okay, so the meeting
he
has
just took
happened.
off.
Somebody
What?
give
No,
me the
they just
update
took
on
off
what's
from the
going on
U.S.
in
They just took off
Islamabad.
from the U.S. So yesterday, the JD Vance equipment, so the Beast and the other cars, arrived in Pakistan, and the Secret Service was setting up. And today, JD Vance just left the United States to Pakistan,
I
and
see.
and Iran is said to be is on the way.
Well,
I would say
yesterday that.
from Iran, it's important to notice that they have said Mohsen Reza is going because he's a power broker from the Revolutionary Guards,
Mhm.
and therefore someone that can actually do stuff. You know, if they send foreign minister and parliamentary people and blah blah blah, it would be worth it. But Mohsen Rezai is actually a guy that's high in the food chain.
Yeah,
So
so
so that's notable.
he's the kind of guy that can sit in the back of the room. It would be like when Zelensky brings Budanov to his meetings, right? The head of intelligence. And he can sit back there with his phone open, and everybody back in Tehran can hear the meeting, right? And then he can make comments like, these guys are going to fold, or we need to push this point. He can two-way it, while the other two guys, the guys Trump say, are the guys who are moderate that we can deal with, right?
The regime change.
And
Yeah, the regime.
and what's the other, Arachi? That these two guys are going to be the front men, but the guy sitting in the back with the open mobile phone, right, taking notes, giggling to himself, is the guy who's the actual authority to communicate back. And I think
Yeah.
for guys like JD Vance, and this is where they're going to be suckered. I always make the joke of the camel market, okay? Because once you've been to a camel market where there's 1,000 camels and 20 or 30 salesmen, and they're all selling the same product, but they each have their little tricks, right? To make it appear that their camels are better, right? Like they do have a camel beauty contest, by the way, where they put lipstick on them and eyelashes. So, but you realize that the whole market is the trick, right? They know each other. They know how it's played. They understand what the rules are. They understand what the parameters are. And they even know what the product is that they're selling, which is camels, right? And they know a pregnant camel, a good camel, a strong camel, a lame camel, a camel that will go 1,000 miles, a camel that's about to be turned into, be sent off to the milking huts. By the way, they actually do this, camel milk. And they know it. And now JD Vance is landing on an airplane in the middle of that camel souk, coming in an armored Suburban wearing a suit. Okay. If you can all imagine this, it's in the middle of the desert. There's 1,000 camels, and this guy waltzes in. This is what the British used to do in the British Empire, right?
Yeah,
is
very much so.
pretend that they actually own everything and that you're going to do what they say because of mad dogs and Englishmen. And they're sitting there looking at you like, mm-hmm. And they look at each other like, we're going to sell this bitch some camels. Right? They're going to sell the work. And when you get them home, they're going to go, these camels are being delivered. And when the delivery truck pulls up and you think that you have gotten an immense deal, everything that you've ever wanted, you needed 500 camels, whatever it is, you're going to pull up there and it's going to be stray dogs they picked up off the street with the word camel spray painted on the sides. Right? This is how that world operates. And Advance has zero
No idea what he's
Iranian
talking about.
experts.
No.
And here's the
No
worst
idea.
part. If he does bring anyone who speaks Farsi, who is from Iran, I'm telling you, it will be somebody who is from Prince Reza Pahlavi's camp or the Iranian diaspora. It'll be an Iranian who left as part of the Jewish diaspora that left in 1979 and whose last time that was in Iran was 1979. And he'll be like, yeah, you know,
Yeah.
these guys who have suits and ties on, that guy who's a general, they're the players. When everybody knows the real player's the guy who's sitting in the back of the room laughing and taking notes
But
and getting
also,
instructions from Ayatollah Khamenei.
it's important to realize, the reason why the Iranians insisted that it had to be J.D. Vance is because they read newspapers too. And they know that he's the foremost, advocate to stop the endless wars and
But
so
he's
and so on and all that peace bullshit.
but he's also
So
the biggest suck up in the administration.
Yeah.
This is a guy who went from Trump
yeah,
is Hitler to I love
yeah,
I love to kiss your butt, Mr. President.
yeah, yeah,
So, they know a guy that can be manipulated when they
yeah,
see one. And,
Well,
people say, I hear these idiots going, well, he was in the Marines. He was a corporal. That's just one step above private. And his job was to write the newsletter for an air squadron. And they're going to be like,
Well,
JD knows how to use force and bring these things there. This is the stupidest group. I swear to God, it won't even dogs with the name Camel written on the side. It will be those when you go to like the Succoberry or the airport shopping mall. It'll be those little stuffed camels that are made in China. Right? There'll be
yeah,
1,000 of them will be delivered in a box, and they'll go, "You bought your camels." These
yeah.
guys don't know the neighborhood they're playing in, and I think that this will benefit two groups of people. Pakistan will look like they have saved the global oil industry, which means a lot of stuff's going to come to Pakistan under the table, right? And then Iran will say, hey, listen, brother, okay, we're going to play these guys. You're going to make your money with the Emiratis. You're going to make your money with the Saudis. We're going to make sure you, who import 27% of your oil comes from Iran, that you're going to get 35% oil from us, and we're going to discount it for you. You can even sell the excess if you want it. That's how the camel souk is working. What
Yeah.
Trump thinks he's in a Wall Street boardroom. Right? And they're like, oh my God, they got guys who have little vests like this who serve tea to you all day. Right? And the Iranians are sitting there and two guys in suits are talking to us. So we know they're serious. They're suckers. That's just my thing.
Yeah, for sure.
do you know who Iran would like to negotiate with more than J.D. Vance?
Who?
Donald Trump.
Yeah, Trump himself. That's what they should have said. They should have said, we're not going to open the Strait of Hormuz till we have a face-to-face meeting, a summit, right? In Islamabad between pick whoever the acting head of the IRGC is, somebody, not Khamenei, right? Khamenei is too religiously high on the totem pole to meet with Trump to say, I'm going to get a deal. And don't forget, these guys understand Trump is obsessed with one word only, deal. And he will take any deal so long as it looks like it's a contract, right? Which is why nothing's been written down thus far. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure the Iranians even see this as a negotiation. I mean, I
A
to be honest,
surrender ceremony.
I don't think they're going to compromise on the key issues like Hormuz, Lebanon, etc., etc. So they're basically going to say to JD, "Oh, but well, this is what we can do. We have." They're not going to move anything, and he's going to sit there and look like a donkey.
The Iranians were pressured by the
Like a donkey.
Chinese to show up on the to the table, but they were not interested in negotiating at all. They were begged to go to the table. Like most people don't understand this. I also here's the other thing. I actually want to take your. I have my own opinion on this statement from JD Vance before he went to the plane, but I want to
Well,
take your opinion
can you
on this.
read that statement to us?
Yeah. If they're going
Everyone's
to try
behind.
to play us, then they're going to find
He's
out
so
that the
clever.
negotiating team is not that responsive. The president has given us some pretty clear guidelines. Like the
Okay.
dude is showing up in there thinking like he's got like I don't know.
My favorite part of that story is he's telling the people he's going to negotiate with his negotiation strategy. Right? Wait, what? Did you just tell them? Where you think that you're going to trick us? I would go along with everything JD Vance said, right? He would say, we want you to denuclearize 100%. I would agree to it. I would say, we already agreed to that on February 27th, right? And then he would like, oh my God, they're going along with that. Okay, I want you to open up the Strait of Hormuz. JD Vance is going to learn a word that they use in Arabic all the time. Halas. Halas means, okay, finished. Finished, right? And they will sit there and he will go, I want the Strait of Hormuz open. He will go, okay, halas, no problem. And then he say, I want you to disarm take your radioactive material and have it removed. Okay, halas, we have to dig it out. Halas, no problem.
Inshallah.
No, we're not to inshallah. I'm going to use inshallah at the last, right? Right now, they're agreeing with him on everything. He's like, oh, this is going very well. Okay, we want you to, allow free navigation of the Strait of Hormuz. Okay, halas, no problem. Right? And as he goes down that checklist, and they're like, oh my God, they're giving us everything they want. Okay? And what he doesn't understand is plain spoken words out of your mouth mean nothing to them. What they're going to say is these phrases that he will not appreciate. Our interpretation of what you said. JD Vance will say, well, I said I will denuclearize. And they said, halas, right? And, JD will be back. You can see him almost getting back to the armored vehicle. What does halas mean? Didn't they agree with everything I said? No, it means end, finish. It doesn't mean okay or not. And he'll be like, well, you agreed to everything we agreed to. And they'll say, no, we heard you.
We said that's it.
But our interpretation of it is completely different, right? We have opened the Strait of Hormuz. 2 ships went through today. Halas, open.
Yeah.
But it went through Easy Pass, right? Multipass now. Now that there's 2 access ways, it is literally multipass, right? But halas, multipass. It says, you're not allowed to charge any money. No problem. We take Trump Bitcoin. Which is true. I briefed that yesterday. They said they are taking stablecoin, which is the U.S. financially backed guaranteed money that World Equity United or whatever Trump's company is managing. So they are taking, and the funny part was we made that multipass picture up, about 4 weeks ago and had we accept Trump coin on it. And it's true.
It's 5 weeks ago now, man.
It's true. They accept Trump.
It was the first week of the war.
I'm starting to wonder if there's an Iranian team monitoring us going, hey, we think this guy's right. Take Trump coin. So, but I think JD Vance, when he goes, what was his first words? If they think they're going to play us? Is that what his first words were in his statement?
If they think they're going to try to play us, then they're going to find out that the negotiation team is not that receptive.
Okay, the negotiating team is made up of a real estate broker who has been suckered by everyone he met, right? Vladimir Putin's bestie. So you think this is a guy who's met Putin more times than any world leader. Do you know that? More than Lukashenko now. So if you think that guy is not working in Vladimir Putin's interest and that he's not going to flip on you, then you got another thing coming. That guy is going to be consulting with Daddy, and Daddy ain't Trump. He thinks, like everybody else, that this is a real estate deal and that the real estate is the Strait of Hormuz. And the funny thing is, the Iranians could make a cogent argument that he is selling real estate, that the Iranians are just quantifying the value of the Strait of Hormuz, something Witkoff would understand. What's his name? Ivanka Trump's husband, Mrs. Ivanka Trump, Jared Kushner. Jared Kushner is a failed investment banker whose father, I shit you not, is a convicted felon that is now being kicked out of France because as ambassador to France, he's insulted everybody, right? That guy is all about getting more money. And if the Iranians were smart, and I recall Trump saying this the other day about the SOH, that maybe we could do a joint investment deal, right? This is how Zelensky got Trump to give them weapons for another year, right? By saying, well, we could have a joint U.S.-Iranian, rare earth minerals mine. And Trump suddenly stopped listening to Moscow and was like, whoa, I'm listening. These guys, I'm going to tell you straight, they already got played because they're in Islamabad, right? This isn't taking place in Washington. You are on the enemy's terrain now. It is a 35-minute plane ride from Islamabad to Iranian airspace. Okay? You're going to have to fly 9 hours, more, 13 hours, come up there exhausted. You're going to get out of that plane with jet lag, jump into a car, and sit sternly for the cameras. They already won on this thing. You are asking them for favors, and you want certain things in exchange for those favors, like, opening the Strait of Hormuz. That's going to take a lot of favors there, buddy. And I think Trump will eventually concede to the pay for it, the toll booth.
Yeah. Well, he already did. He already did on Tuesday or Wednesday. You remember in his
but he flip flopped.
Truth Social post before going back on it and claiming he had never agreed to anything. Like completely.
He's already flip flopped on it. He said,
and it's the same on
Tuesday. On Tuesday, it was, hey, this is great. Maybe we should be doing the costs. We should be doing a financial sharing, right? A joint venture. Oman has said they're not taking the money.
You stole that from me. You stole that right from my mouth.
Stole what? Joint venture?
Yeah. But the motherfucker couldn't keep the ceasefire for 24 hours and at the same time coming out on TV and like, we'll do a joint venture. Could you keep the ceasefire in place first before you think of a joint venture?
This poor dude. It's ridiculous because
guys, last night I had a Q&A for paid subscribers, and I said what came out from Trump yesterday was as if on Tuesday he hadn't read the 10 points that the Iranians had submitted to the Pakistanis, or he hadn't understood what they implied.
Oh, he definitely didn't understand.
No, exactly. And then it was as if yesterday, someone had told him what it was all about. And then he went all backwards.
I think it's simpler than that. I think it's simpler than that. On Tuesday, I think one of the comments that he made was that $2 million wasn't that much. I'm pretty sure on Tuesday that he said something along those lines. They aren't charging a lot in the overall cost of it because each ship and oil is worth about $250 million, right? So $2 million is what they technically should be paying for line handling or, fresh water in one stop. And to Trump, that's like, that doesn't sound like a lot. Oh, that Uber was only $14, right? In Manhattan going, when you tell them, yeah, but it was $14 for 3 blocks and there's 5,000 Ubers operating. And the Iranians will make $1 $160 billion a year, that's when he was like, what? That's bullshit. Where's mine? No, there's no way they can do that. That's how he flip-flopped. Because somebody told him what the real money was. And he was like, that's money. I want in on that action. JD Vance came there with a list. 46%. The boss wants 46%. Right? 47.
Well,
I'm wrong. 47% because he's number 47.
2 weeks ago, they wanted to change the name of Strait of Hormuz to the Strait of Trump.
Really?
Yeah.
You're right. I recall that. That's right wingers. That's Lara Loomer, right? When she's on her knees, steaming his pants legs clean, right? She's making that proposal, the Strait of Trump. And I wouldn't be surprised if that was like point number 16 on the list that JD Vance is carrying. We're willing to let you charge if you name it the Strait of Trump. Ay, ay, ay. Ay, ay, ay. Should we go to questions? Did anybody see any of the questions?
No, I haven't. Just a little remark anyway, but because now all this Lebanon stuff is also going back and forth. And I also discussed this last night. Bibi made the statement that he would negotiate with the Lebanese government. And I said I suspected that was only a statement given in English, and he would never say that in Hebrew because he has promised the population in northern Israel to eradicate Hezbollah. So there's no pulling back for him, and he's facing an election later this year. So, now I also see that the Israelis or the government is like, wheeling that back and so on. So it seems, it will still be, Trump having to decide what he does because Iran is not going to give in. Israel is going to stay in Lebanon, and the Iranians will start shooting. And will Trump engage again, or will he say, "Oh, I've won," and then go back? I don't know, but let's see about that.
Yeah, we'll have to see about that. Can any of you see any questions? There's only one hump on Arabian camels.
I was going to ask.
Double humps are Mongolian camels.
For questions, it would be easier for me to pull them out. If you guys go to my group chat, and I already have made a site for ask your questions, that's just easier because it flows real fast.
Do you see any questions there that need answering? Because they're flowing too fast there.
Yes, exactly why I told them to go to my message me on the group chat, and I will ask the question right away. Because
intermediaries have to.
It's just it just flies that fast.
Well, let's do this. Since we really don't have a lot to discuss today, let's save the questions for tomorrow. Let's get them written down. And the big thing is we are going to watch what happens in Islamabad today, right? Let's see how long that meeting lasts. If JD Vance is on an airplane within 2 hours of the end of that meeting or immediately, and he flies, the question is, where will he fly to? If he flies to Tel Aviv, that says a lot, right? It says that JD Vance has to now have a serious discussion with Netanyahu about Lebanon, which means everybody sat in that room and it'll be like, Lebanon or fights on. That's serious, right? Lebanon is a serious war, almost 2,000 dead, right? We said just the other day, they're averaging about 250 dead people, civilians per day, right? And it's looking as like the Israelis are trying to stoke the collapse of southern Lebanon. So this could become the sticking point. And the IRGC are going to do this. Zero ship traffic again today, from what I'm seeing. So this could, and now, granted, today is Friday, right? Which means it's the weekend. Everybody gets the weekend to sit and think about this. But Sunday, is Monday morning in the Middle East and the Asian markets. And whatever happens now is going to dramatically hit the markets on Sunday. And if it turns out that the SOH is still closed, that it's tied to Lebanon, that Netanyahu's throwing double fingers up at everybody, you could see that oil go back up to 115 and more dollars per barrel, you know? And I think the market's bracing for that. But are they going to write down what they say today? It's going to be another, well, we'll figure out 10 points, 15 points, you know? That's all we can do is sit and wait. If anything dramatic happens, we will have a special program. We'll have a special Q&A. I will be back home tonight, so I can handle that. I just got to go talk to Reverend Al and his guys for about an hour today and meet my editor from Denmark, weirdly, by the way. I'm giving her a stuffed caribou. No, actually, I think it's a stuffed muskrat. So first, a little administration. If you're watching this on YouTube, please come over. Please hit subscribe on the subscribe button on YouTube. Then come over to malcolmnance.substack.com and hit subscribe there. I am trying to get to 100,000. We're eking up a little bit at a time. So share this Substack and tell people, hey, y'all need to follow Malcolm Nance. You need to follow Wajeeh. You need to follow Jacob Kaarsbo. Because this briefing, I'm keeping up this briefing as long as U.S. warships are in that region. And I know we talked about this yesterday a little bit. I would like to have a special subscribers only about the next crisis that's coming. And that is called FON, Freedom of Navigation Operation. And J.D. Vance is going to insist today that U.S. warships have freedom of navigation to cross into the Strait of Hormuz, back and forth, bringing materials or escorting ships anytime they want. And the Iranians are going to flat out know. And at some point, when Trump hits that wall, they're going to, be Hegseth, Vance, everybody will be saying, hey, we have to exercise what we call a FON operation, a freedom of navigation operation, a FONOP, which means 4 or 5 U.S. warships will line up, weapons ready, and they will charge through the Strait of Hormuz, awaiting and expect to be in a battle. And then the war's back on. Right? We need to discuss this. I need to show this to you because it's happened a couple of times. I've been involved in several FON operations. And with Gaddafi, with the Syrians, all sorts of crazy people. But that could restart the war in an instant. If the IRGC boats come out or they hit a mine on the way in, it could be unhealthy. So stay tuned for that. So thank you, everybody, for coming today for this. I said it was abbreviated. We went 53 minutes. Okay, we already had a regular show. We didn't get around to questions. We'll get around to those questions tomorrow. I'll be home.
I will be in tomorrow afternoon, Danish time. So this hour.
Where I thought you were out today.
Tomorrow afternoon, I will be in on Sunday. No worries.
Right.
So I could do later tomorrow, but anyway, keep to this hour, and I'll join you on Sunday.
All right, Wajeeh.
Thanks for tuning in. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share. Whatever you see we're doing right here, we're doing it full time, so you don't have to do it full time. Make sure to come in tomorrow and check in what we have to say. That's all. And also, safe travel for you,
Thanks,
Malcolm.
Guys. See you all later.
Safe travels, Malcolm.
Take care. Bye-bye.